Welcome to Amy Park, the setting for the 63rd running of the Big Blue. Melbourne Victory, led by the inimitable Bruno Fornaroli, undefeated and in red-hot form, taking on their oldest of rivals, Sydney FC, the most successful club in the competition's history, but one reeling from a 2-0 defeat at the hands of crosstown rivals Macarthur FC just a week ago. Well, it's one of the matches on the calendar. The Melbourne Victory fans have arrived in numbers for the occasion. You can see the Navy Blues, the home side, are there in the Isuzu Ute tunnel camp. Bruno Fornaroli, the number 10, with 11 goals already this campaign. Big night for Roderick Miranda. A-League match number 50 for him. And here comes Sydney FC. No love lost between these two sides. They have set the tone on the opening day of the season for the last 2 years. They have played some of the biggest, most memorable matches in the 19-year history of the A-League. And Sydney FC, under new coach Ufuk Talay, desperately need the points. For Melbourne Victory, a win, and they go provisionally top for 48 hours at least, as the two sides make their way out onto the field. The Northern Terrace sings the anthem, Stand By Me. Well, it's a massive night for these two sides as we see the lineups. Tony Popovic has made just the one change, and it's an enforced one from that 4-3 thriller-minute win over Western Sydney a week ago. Nishan Valupale has succumbed to a hamstring strain picked up in training, so Ben Falami makes his first start of the season. Elsewhere, Jason Gerry is back to full fitness, but Connor Chapman continues at right back. Roderick Miranda with match number 50 in the A-League for him alongside Damien De Silva. But all the talk is about Bruno Fornaroli and his 11 goals so far this term. While for Sydney FC, Ufuk Talay makes 3 changes, starting in goal where Socceroo goalkeeper Andrew Redmayne is suspended. Adam Pavlicic makes his second career start after coming off the bench last week. Elsewhere, Jack Rodwell returns from a troublesome hamstring to make his first appearance of the season. He's in the centre of defence. That means Jake Girdwood-Wright steps into midfield alongside Bratton and the returning Anthony Caceres, who has recovered from that ankle knock. Pat Wood and Corey Holman are the players who make way, while Jaden Kucharski is back on the bench. Well, what an occasion. The Big Blue is one of the most played fixtures on the A-League calendar. And the atmosphere, the typically football atmosphere that you don't get anywhere else in Australia. In fine voice, there is the head-to-head so far. Sydney FC have an excellent record, one that continues, especially recently here at Amy Park. They have lost just one Big Blue away from home on their last 10 trips. That does not make for happy reading for fans of Melbourne Victory, who are desperate to see their side get a first win here over Sydney since 2019. A win that, if they get it, sends them back to that coveted place atop the table. All set for kickoff. Tony Popovic, the former Sydney FC player who coached Western Sydney to such success, now looking to get one over the Sky Blues and against his former Sydney FC teammate Ufuk Talay, back in the hot seat. He's lost his last 3 with Wellington Phoenix against Melbourne Victory. he's hoping to continue Sydney's excellent run here. Adam Kersey, his 88th A-League match, and a first big blue for him this evening. Luke Bratton was outstanding for the 10 men of Sydney FC a week ago. They've got some big name players on both sides looking to make a difference here. Nothing like a little false start to set the tone. And the big blue at the 63rd time of asking. The match that pits the two most successful, most celebrated of A-League clubs against one another. A fixture that has so often written the legend of this competition. And a new instalment coming right now, over 90 minutes. Andy Harper, it's an exciting match to be a part of.
Evening, Robbie. Certainly is, always is. Sydney v Melbourne. A couple of tasty tackles to get the match going. Fornaroli in the background, and Lacerda still in dialogue about the foul on the far side of the pitch, and then very boisterous challenge. Caceres on Jake Brimmer. Two wonderful playmakers going head to head. It'll be a terrific game tonight, I'm sure.
And one that really means something. They always do, I guess, but in the table, a real carrot for victory as Arzani turns inside. He was looking back for Zinedine Mashash. Their understanding, little quick passes between the two of them, has been really something Melbourne Victory fans have enjoyed seeing their debuts together. Lacerda, the Brazilian, who's already sent a message, as you rightly say, Andy Harper, to Bruno Fornaroli, that 11 goals in 7 games counts for little this evening at Amy Park. Miranda did that nicely with Traore. Now Falami, his first start of the season for Ben Falami. It's been a long time cooling his boots.
Yeah, big game for Ben Falami this season. Nishan Velupillay has got the jump on him this time. Through last season, Falami was really cutting a swathe. So much so that he earned a national team call-up. He's been pipped in the hierarchy by Velupillay so far this season. And it's a big night, therefore, for Ben Falami this evening.
A big night. Caceres looks for Fabio. Big night for Fabio, who has just the 1 goal in the A-League so far this season. He's featured in every match. The man who came off the bench in the cup final to win it for Sydney FC. Arzani finds Falami. He's got Mashash ahead of him. Falami curling it. It's taken a deflection. Half-hearted appeals for a handball as well, but referee Adam Kersey saying it came off the chest.
Well, a good break this from victory. Arzani, just getting stuck to start with, but he was good enough to get out of that situation and release Falami, who opened the angle for the far post quite nicely. It was Ryan Grant who stretched in and deflected the ball for the corner.
Daniel Arzani, who provided his first assist of the season at Combank Stadium, delivers again back post to most confident of defensive headers from Girdwood Reich. But it finds Lolly, and now Caceres. Robbie Mack coming short, looking for the ball, and Sydney have played their way out of trouble. Across the halfway line, at least, but in the end not into attack. Izzo with a great ball to find Mashash. And now Falami again. I say a big night for the likes of Fabio, but also Falami, Arzani, because goals, apart from Bruno Fornaroli, have been hard to come by for Melbourne Victory. Just Ryan Teague and Zinedine Mashash with a goal apiece. Otherwise, with Nishan Velupillay missing, no one else has even scored for Melbourne Victory this season. It's all been the work of Bruno Fornaroli and those 11 goals, and Sydney FC is not much better. Lolly has 3, Robbie Mack on the score sheet a couple of weeks ago, but just 8 goals scored in their 7 matches so far for Sydney FC. A little 1-2, Brimmer with Arzani, inviting Chapman forward. Jack Rodwell cleans up nicely at the back. Arzani has won it back with the help of Zinedine Mashash. French-Moroccan does that very nicely against Joel King and Caceres. Arzani trying to skip between challenges. Caceres does brilliantly, finds Fabio. Now Joe Lolly. He has been the threat for Sydney FC so far this season. 3 goals and 2 assists for Joe Lolly. And Adama Traore, a little bit in the Gabriel Lacerda book, just making sure it goes no further.
Wow, the replay shows that Adama Traore was right, won the ball cleanly. It's a free kick for Sydney otherwise, who've been under a bit of pressure. Good start from Victory. Sydney finding it difficult in these early minutes to get out of their own half.
Bratton short with Mack. Back post, Lacerda. There's 2 under the ball, not attacking it enough to fire that header back across the face. An easy one for Izzo. Caceres back in midfield does give that engine and that midfield leader alongside Bratton. He's playing high up the pitch almost as a second striker when in possession. Caceres, that's a great turn. Looking to release Fabio. Joe Lolly. Ryan Grant quickly stepping up on Arzani. The intensity's there in this opening 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's great. And Sydney really intent. Look at Tele now, the coach looking on swiftly as they can to close down space. People in possession just overstepping the mark there. The Victory handling that pressure well.
Connor Chapman preferred to Jason Guerrier at right back by Tony Popovic. Guerrier, who came off the bench last week, he was struggling with that hip flexor issue that ruled him out the week before that. And that 2-2 draw. There's Chapman, loses out to Joel King. Damien De Silva is there with Brimmer. Can't see that high press of Sydney FC looking to win the ball back. Melbourne Victory forced to go long. And Fornaroli just setting his eyes on Rodwell this time. He loves that physical challenge, Bruno Fornaroli as well. Won't be intimidated, not one little bit. Bratton just over playing that one, looking for King down the left wing.
It's a nice switch of play from Lacerda to open up the left flank initially. It's a rare sight. Luke Bratton is hitting a pass. Very rare sight.
It's long from Izzo. One in the air by Rodwell. And now Fabio. Fabio, the Brazilian. Just trying to poke it through to Caceres. Brimmer gets the better of Girdwood Reich and releases Fornaroli. Bellamy arriving through the middle. Arzani at the back post. Fornaroli still. Takes on Lacerda, cuts it back for Mashash. And it was just too far behind the French-Moroccan, who got contact, but barely goalwards.
Well, it's an excellent run from Bruno Fornaroli. It's a good charge by Jake Brimmer. Out of defence for Victory. Fornaroli sets this up superbly himself, completely, from halfway, and Mashash just couldn't adjust as necessary. Great chance for Victory.
Victory have had the better of these opening exchanges. Victory also looking to play that pressing game as Chapman's following Robbie Mack all over the pitch at the moment. Nominally the left winger, he does like to come inside. Miranda strong with Girdwood right. Made his debuts with Sydney FC in midfield. Jake Girdwood Reich playing in the centre of defence so far this season, but back in that preferred position. Oh, as the flag will stay down, but the angle not finding Fornaroli at all.
Pay credit to Pavlicic in the goal for reading that. Bruno had got himself onside beautifully, and if he could have got to the ball, I fancy it would have been legal and play on, but Pavlicic did excellently coming off his line to sweep that one up for Sydney.
Fabio does offer that physical presence up front. He does run a lot for the team as well as that first line of defence, which Tale demands. Ryan Grant claims he copped a stray elbow. Oh, as De Silva has overhit that. You can't afford to do that with Caceres in the vicinity. But he makes amends. The victory, number 5. Again, De Silva doesn't want to concede a corner. Victory's player of the year last season, Damien De Silva, played just 12 matches, but a goal against Melbourne City in the derby to open your account also leaves a mark in the minds of the fans. Here's Lolly, wants it on that left foot, gets it straight back from Bratton. That's clever play again. Lolly, this time crossing on the right. Oh, ricocheting around. Off for Adama Traore, corner for Sydney.
First drill test coming up now for Victory, who've had most of the running in the opening 12 minutes, defending this corner. And Sydney haven't been that dominant a force in corners for, but they've certainly got enough tall players. Maybe Jack Rodwell will make a difference for them.
As Lolly delivers towards Rodwell, who wins it in the air. Back across into the danger zone, but it's all Victory at the break. And now Rodwell's pace will be tested, and he does very well indeed against Valami. Now Mack. Mack still going. He loves coming inside and shooting on that right boot. Victory refused to give him any space, but Caceres has found some for Joel King now. His cross is a good one. Surely, oh, what a brilliant stop from Izzo. It's still alive to deny Girdwood Reich his first ever A-League goal. And now Fornaroli's done well against Lacerda. The break is on here. Mashash. He scored against Sydney on the opening day of the season. Mashash still, and yet still. No, somehow Sydney managed to get it clear. Well, chances at both ends.
Wow, incredible chances at both ends. Sydney's was a bad miss in the end. Like, it was a ball floating to the far post, which was just begging to be smashed in. It's Girdwood Reich who gets his shoulder to it, maybe in defence of him. Slightly unsighted because of Adama Traore, but he gets ahead to it. He can't finish it off. It's great work from Izzo. There'll be a little bit of an inquisition now and then. Mashash didn't have that yard of speed to actually get away. Good defending in the end from Sydney, having been disappointed at the other end, although I guess we're checking to see if that ball went over the line.
That's right, we are checking to see if the ball crossed the line. It's the goal line technology that will check it. In some leagues there's the referee's watch that vibrates and says when the ball has crossed the line, but it didn't. Good save from Izzo.
Well, that was an impressive little patch of pressure from Sydney, who've had to weather a bit of a storm. But the corner, which was met by Rodwell, led to another raid on goal. Joel King getting a beautiful cross to the back post, and Girdwood Reich not able to nail the header. Victory sweeping upfield with their own chance.
The word from VAR, the official word, is that the evidence was inconclusive to suggest that the ball did actually cross the line. So in that case, the referee, Kersey and his assistants, Nathan McDonald and David Walsh, their initial decision stands. No goal for Sydney FC and Jake Girdwood-Reich. That came from Rodwell winning the ball back and preventing that quick break for Melbourne Victory. Great switch of play from Mack for Lolly against Traore again. Bratton calling for it. Lolly's cross this time. Chapman's header for Arzani, who was being manhandled there by Joel King. Mashash gets a clear. Fornaroli flying in. Melbourne Victory supporters not happy.
I don't know that Bruno got a lot of the ball there.
Tony Popovic is not contesting that decision. He did for a split second before looking to his players, because there's something he's not happy about at the back. The way they're marking up there, we see the switch of play again. Traore's head up. Izzo has just managed to keep that in play again. So Ryan Grant knows a thing or two about the big blue. The Sydney FC veteran, that's out for a goal kick. Let's head down to Michael Zapponi, who's joining us on the sidelines, Zappers.
Yeah, wonderful atmosphere down here, gents. The Melbourne Victory fans in fine voice this morning. Aren't too many spare standing spots behind Paul Izzo in this first half. Adam Pavlicic, what a night it is for him tonight. Hasn't had a lot to do, but he did keep his composure as Mashash was running down and creating an opportunity for Melbourne Victory earlier. Huge atmosphere for the young keeper and a big occasion for him tonight. Just clarifying too, on goal line technology, we don't have that in the A-League. And looking at that video, the VAR said, as you said, Robbie, inconclusive evidence. I had a suspicion that it was very close to being behind the line, looking at how Paul Izzo reacted to that too.
Yeah, I think it was very, very close indeed, but we follow the letter of the law. Inconclusive. So perhaps Melbourne Victory have dodged a bullet there. Bruno Fornaroli's dodged a challenge. More too. Mashash takes over again. Valami on that left-hand side. And again, it's Rodwell who's relishing the physical challenge being laid down by those big Victory forwards at the moment. Izzo coming a long way. A word on Adam Pavlicic. He did play in the Sydney Derby, his first ever start 2 years ago, and ended in a 3-2 victory. And then 2 years later, coming off the bench a week ago against MacArthur, couldn't prevent the 2 goals that saw MacArthur go top of the table. Younger brother plays for Bayern Munich these days, and will soon be partner of Iran Kunda. As here goes Arzani, great pace. And again, Rodwell, who looked like he might have been struggling for pace against Arzani, manages to get another important foot in there.
Yeah, he's been outstanding on return to the team, actually. Jack Rodwell, outstanding to start this game. They've needed him a couple of times. Very fluent Melbourne Victory with the open field opportunities to attack Sydney, and they're taking those opportunities with gusto. Threatening the goal of Sydney itself. Pavlicic has done well, but not directly tested. But Zappers is right, it's a great occasion for the youngster.
Rimmer delivers, it's a good ball towards Chapman. A fantastic piece of defending from Joel King it was, who won the upper body battle with Chapman to get the head away. And now Fabio. Talk about Pavlicic hasn't been tested too much. You don't want to be with Bruno Fornaroli around. 12 shots on target from Bruno Fornaroli this season for 11 goals. If it's goal-bound, so far this season, goalkeepers have been able to do very little. Bruno does well. Under the nose of Brad, and now Arzani. Arzani shoots and Arzani scores! His first goal for Melbourne victory, and he runs to celebrate with the home team bench. And he may not have scored, but it was Bruno's quick thinking with the free kick. And the switch of play for Daniel Arzani, who has threatened to score so far this season. Now he provides the finishing touch.
Well, there's so much about this sequence to enjoy. Firstly, the protection of the ball on the Harvey Norman replay from Bruno Fornaroli to win the free kick, and then Bruno takes that free kick quickly with a switch of play to the wunderkid, Daniel Arzani, who finally scores for victory on the back of a promising start to the season. But almost, Robbie, this goal was made by the defensive effort just a moment before. It was Arzani who chased down into the left fullback position, a most unlikely Daniel Arzani type action, setting the scene for the mentality of the goal scorer to break the ice here. When he got the chance on that crossfield ball from Bruno Fornaroli, he set fair to the goal and made the most of it. He's a wonderful talent, and we're waiting to see that talent come into full bloom.
A fourth goal for Daniel Arzani. He won the cup last year with MacArthur, but it didn't work out. And now at Melbourne victory, things most decidedly are, because for the moment, early days in the 63rd Big Blue, Melbourne victory lead by a 1-0 and could be heading to the top of the table. And it's another goal scorer, importantly, for Melbourne victory, who need to diversify in that regard.
Well, he's got to be central to that discussion. The number 19 in screen there for Melbourne victory, Daniel Arzani. Two things he needs to really consolidate his career and his talent, Robbie, and that is demonstrate his capacity week on week to run out football matches and score goals, because the rest of it, the line-breaking ability, the defence splitting ability, the 1v1 ability is uncontested. It's those other 2 points.
Tony Popovic spoke about it in the pre-game show as well, that he's not quite ready to run out 90 minutes as victory want. Malami, is he taking note? Arzani, well, it wasn't a bad little turn from Arzani, and how about the finish?
You know, I don't know that there was a lot wrong with that. I just thought he used his hips beautifully. Here's the goal line, effort or not. If that's the only angle the VAR had, then no wonder they couldn't adjudicate. Here's maybe a better one. If they're the 2 angles, it's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. And there might be an angle here for Mashash. Oh, what a finish! Zizou in Melbourne victory colours. Zinedine Mashash with his second goal in Australian football, his second against Sydney FC. 2 goals in 3 minutes, and Melbourne victory have taken this one by the scruff of the neck.
Well, victory have undone Sydney in the space of 2 minutes. It's the pass and move, and Sydney players just not able to track runners, and Mashash does beautifully, lifting it over Pavlicic as he goes to close the angle. And where Zinedine was maybe caught short 50 metres out from goal and not having that change of gear to make up something of that one-on-one, on the shorter range, he makes no mistake whatsoever. Beautiful outside of the foot assist by Jake Brimmer. What a class act he is as well. And it's 2-0. 2 minutes inside, and Victory skipped clear by 2.
Well, Mashash supplies the velvety finish for the giant man with a subtlety and finesse belying the giant frame. And how good for Melbourne Victory fans to see Jake Brimmer back in those positions, supplying assists. It's his second assist of the season. And perhaps it could have been all so different if Girdwood Reich had made stronger contact with that header. Joel King's lost out now to Mashash. Fornaroli over the top for Mashash again. He was trying first time to find Azani there. But all of a sudden, Victory are first to every ball.
Well, as we could see by that score graphic, there's a reflection on how furious this contest has been. It was actually 4 minutes between goals. Tom seems to be flying, thought it was only 2.
There's the ladder as it stands. Melbourne Victory undefeated in 7 1/4 matches. Currently sit on 16 points. Will it stay that way? MacArthur, they can move back on Monday night in the final match of the round. MacArthur, who are also undefeated, entertain Wellington Phoenix on Monday night. Earlier today, in fact, just moments ago, the Jets scored in the last minute. And when I say last minute, I mean 97th or 98th to draw 2-2 with Perth. There's that ball in. Fabio leaping at the back post. And Izzo scurries out to claim the loose ball.
Well, that's more like it from Fabio. I think he's been a touch unfortunate, certainly last week. Just he couldn't find the ball in the penalty area and vice versa, but that's a leap. That's going to be hard to contain. If he can dish that up more often than not, he's got quite the physique.
And now Lolly as Sydney look to come back on the front foot. Again, Fabio. That's the other thing that Sydney like about his play is he chases everything. Fornaroli with Brimmer, intercepted by Lacerda, but Caceres through the back of Jake Brimmer for the second time this evening. Free kick taken quickly. Brimmer slowly back to his feet. Now Falami. Falami still shoots from that tight angle off target.
It's a good effort, but these are the hints of rustiness compared to what we saw last year with Falami, and this is just a function of him not playing regularly. As we said, Lupo's got the nod, but you know, those chances last year clearly beating his player to make a telling attempt, more often than not, every time of course, and then slicing the shot when he got that half side of the goal. The more he plays, the more chance he has to get back into the swing of things, the more value he'll be to Melbourne Victory, who are soaring at the moment. Great opening 27 minutes from them. Another cheap giveaway from Sydney. Caught in danger, sloppy from Ryan Grant. Another giveaway on the cross ball from Lacerda this time.
Narzani really starting to enjoy himself. Robbie Mack through the back. Tale doesn't cut a very contented figure on the sideline either, as you can well imagine. His side started well enough, even if Victory clearly showed from the outset that they wanted to take the initiative. Sydney been second at the races so far today. And another big danger for Ufuk Talay is whether under Steve Corica or under Ufuk Talay so far this season. It's another one for Mashash, running off the shoulder of Lacerda. Here's Traore. When Sydney have conceded first, they have lost 5 times. They haven't even scored a single goal when conceding first. They've scored 8 this season in the 2 games they've won. 5 against Adelaide, followed up by 3 against Perth. How about that from Connor Chapman? Confidence is sky high. Fornaroli, he loves it when defenders get in close, trying to turn them, but again Rodwell is up to the challenge that time. Lacerda, the Brazilian, with Ryan Grant. Now the Englishman, former international, Jack Rodwell. Lolly hugging that right touchline. Is it straight back to Grant? Lacerda again. Mack able to turn, finding just a couple of yards of space. Girdwood Reich, that's a good ball for Lolly. That's the kind of area he likes, Joe Lolly. Bratton, just too strong, too powerful from Mashash. Fornaroli as well, won't give anything away, throwing himself into challenges. Burgess and Adam Lafondra got the goals here last season for Sydney FC. We get the better of Melbourne, victory 2-1 here. Earlier this season in Sydney, it was Fornaroli and Mashash. Now Mack against Arzani. Mack doing the defending, and Arzani with Connor Chapman. Does well now, Fornaroli. No foul this time by Rodwell. Girdwood Reich might yet fall. The chance for Fabio! And he scored! Flags up for offside. There was a deadly silence around Amy Park for a moment as that ball lifted over the keeper and into the net before the referee's whistle and the cheers.
Well,
that's
tight,
close.
Really tight. But the back heel of De Silva is going to be really close to the leading shoulder of Fabio. VAR looks to have cleared it. They're still hanging on for final confirmation. That's closer than it might have first appeared.
Yeah, I think that did look very close as well. It was a good finish from Fabio, just dinking it over the advancing keeper. And perhaps that's the kind of lifeline that Sydney, well, not perhaps, they definitely need it. Can it be a turning point in this contest?
Izzo just gets a knee to it, but it can't stop the path of the ball. Gomez initially doesn't even celebrate, so he sensed he might have been offside, but it's closer than that. They're obviously spooling through the tape.
Well, they're just lining up the lines there. You can see the referee, Adam Kersey, just saying they're getting everything in order to make the decision. It's one of these ones that you love, Andy Harper. Fine. Just a hair's breadth in it.
I mean, there's nothing in it. There can literally be almost nothing in it.
Well, this tells you how close it is for the second time this evening for Sydney FC. Offside is the final decision. Decision upheld as it was when Girdwood Reich thought maybe he just about forced the ball over the line. Fornaroli does well again. Connor Chapman able to sell the big dummy. Now releasing Mashash. Good strength again. Mashash, Azani's just there. He turns away from trouble. Little 1-2 with Falami. Still he holds onto the ball. Back outside with Mashash. It's good play from Melbourne Victory. The cross towards Fornaroli. Ryan Grant keeping very close quarters, and a good thing he was when you consider the form Fornaroli's been in. De Silva back. Rodwell's header. Sydney really do need to steady the ship for a moment. Ryan Teague pinned. He doesn't like it, the crowd don't like it.
Well, Sydney will have some sort of consolation, I guess. There's a mistouch there from Girdwood Reich. I don't know there's much in that. Really, I think if I'm Ryan Teague, I'm asking the question, politely of course, the referee as well. The consolation for Sydney is, look, Robbie, I don't think there's much doubt that Melbourne have been the better of the two teams to open the game when they lead by 2, but Sydney have had 2 VAR calls on goals, either close enough to have gone either way, really. We haven't seen the lines for offside, so we have to give the benefit of the doubt. It was as close as you can get.
And now Fornaroli was trying to release Valami, but Traore's overlapping run, he gets there, the early cross towards Mashash, and cleared behind by Grant.
And it's the turnovers from Sydney which are really cruelling them at the moment. Mashash sits out of this one nicely. Traore gives him the order, and that's a good interception there.
Here are the crosshairs. Andy Harper, how close do you like it?
Goodness me.
Are there 2 lines there? There is, of course, the rule that if the lines overlap, comes that highlighted game on, if you like, so the gap must just be big enough. Question of millimetres as Fabio this time doing his defensive duties. Gets it clear only as far as Arzani again, the ball bouncing around. Arzani trying to dink it through, and now perhaps the break is on. Lolly, Fabio takes off. He's got plenty of pace. Taking on Traore. Fabio still holds onto the ball, needs support now. And it doesn't really arrive in time.
Well, they couldn't get numbers forward quickly enough. The descriptions you've offered of Fabio so far are good. He's a bullocking type player. He doesn't ask for help. He's prepared to roll his sleeves up and chase everything down and use whatever opportunities he has to pressure his opponents. Has got a good turn of speed, just can't quite get into the goal scoring positions, and Sydney haven't really been able to find him terribly much in the opening rounds of the season.
Grant's ball back post, the header back towards Fabio that time. Now Lolly on the left foot. Oh! It took a deflection on the way through, just the wrong side of the post for Sydney FC, who is showing signs of life yet.
Yeah, and in those moments, games change. It's full of intent, leans back nicely, takes the deflection initially. Izzo rooted to the spot, watching prayerfully as the ball goes wide.
And it comes from Mack. Oh, it's been missed by Izzo, who wanted the free kick. He's claiming he had his arms taken out. Referee says corner at the other side.
Lacerda at the near post. Well, there was a foul on Izzo, actually. I'm not sure if the goal would have stood if it goes in.
They may yet have another chance here. It may yet work in Sydney's favour, perhaps, because they got the corner. VAR was not needed. Now, they come again, the cross, and this time unimpeded. Izzo makes a good claim.
In fairness to the goalkeeper, there were no histrionics. It looked, given the 6-yard area and what that means for officials and goalkeepers, it looked clearly a foul, but Izzo got on with it and snuffed that one out nicely.
Lovely control from Fornaroli. Lacerda kicking the ball away. Now, is he upset with Bratton? Is Bratton upset with Lacerda then? A few stress lines starting to show.
Well, I think certainly. But I'm not 100% sure that the referee's entitled to just let him kick the ball away. Even though it wasn't an act of dissent, not to the referee at least. The loosening of those regulations around restarts and players retreating.
We saw what a quick free kick can do for victory.
Exactly. I don't know why IFAB have allowed that to loosen up again.
Brimmer with the free kick, dinks it back post this time, looking for leaps and height. Gets an offside flag for his troubles.
We're also seeing early stages why Tony Popovic was comfortable having Connor Chapman play at right fullback. For all intents and purposes, and were one to be asked, you'd suggest it'd be Jason Guerrier's position. As you report, he's not been 100% fit. The opening form of Connor Chapman here, and his partnership with Daniel Arzani has been very, very significant for Melbourne victory.
Has been training fully this week, though, Jason Guerrier, so in theory, 100% back. And a tactical choice by Coach Popovich. Nice little chest down, Fabio for Caceres. Teague strong in the challenge. Ball bouncing around, probably not an intentional back pass, or however that was read. Tale alongside his assistant coach David Strilic. Fornaroli again backing in, strong from Luke Bratton, who's not about to take a backward step. Outstanding in a losing cause last week, Luke Bratton. Outstanding in a winning cause last week, Bruno Fornaroli. Make no mistake. 4 goals for a second time this season for Bruno. Took his A-League tally to 100. Behind the 148 of Jamie McLaren. The 240 of Damien Murray. Milestone in his sights, which we may see later today, as the ball in for Rodwell. So close to capping off what has been a very promising return to action for Jack Rodwell.
Well, he's been strong defensively across the ground and in the air, but he's offered a real presence from set pieces, and as a bullet header, forced a really good bit of work here from Paul Izzo too. Great save.
A yard either side, and that would have been Sydney back into the game, and that's 2 or 3 times we've said that now. Sydney could be back in the game. Sydney almost back in the game.
That's the bizarre nature of the game. A victory have been the better team in the first half, but Sydney have had these chances. 2 very close things, according to VAR. Good save there from Izzo.
Now here, Victory looked to break again. Teague bundled over by Rodwell, who wasn't going to let him get away. We've got Jake Brimmer, who's been in the wars.
He's copped a few, hasn't he, Robert? It's a terrifically met. And Izzo with good reactions, needed good reactions, because there was plenty on that header from the fine Jack Rodwell. Big return, even though he's at the centre of the defence, which has leaked 2 goals.
The second season at Sydney FC, a little slow in getting started. Hassani saying it was a back pass from Ryan Grant, who may well have got a little touch there, I think.
Maybe in IFAB parlance, it wasn't a natural touch.
Intentional. Sarcasm not permitted in IFAB.
The only thing that keeps us sane, Robbie.
We're not IFAB, fortunately. Victory fans still making plenty of noise behind that goal. Sydney FC fans who are down in the away corner of Amy Park haven't had too much to cheer about yet, but almost they have. Fornaroli. Has he been caught again? He has, only just. There's going to be a yellow card for Joel King. First booking of the 63rd Big Blue just before half-time.
Well, didn't Bruno once again do the amazing Houdini on halfway? I mean, and Joel King hasn't missed him.
This is one of the things that has been so impressive about Bruno Fornaroli this season. Not only are we barely calling him Fornaroli, he's only a first name these days, which is obviously a sign of affection that the country's football fans are feeling for him at the moment. But just the way he uses that body, that he comes and gets the ball, that he allows the whole rest of the team to step up. If you're struggling, if you need an outlet, you can find Bruno. Let's head down to Zappers on the sideline. Zappers, you're getting a first row seat there.
Yeah, he's in a lot of pain. That challenge from Joel King got him clean on the ankle. A lot of pressure and weight went on Bruno Fornaroli there. Did receive some treatment, but looks good now.
He is back to his feet. He doesn't have to leave the field of play after receiving treatment because the foul resulted in a yellow card for the opposition player. As the early ball in is a good one. And now Falami hits it. It was Miranda who beat the offside trap. It was a clever little ball from Arzani. Clever free kick routine from Melbourne Victory that almost brought Sydney FC unstuck for a third time.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, there's actually a good chance, but again, just that rustiness from Falami, which is offered as purely as an observation, not as a criticism. He's getting himself into positions.
Arzani delivers. Fornaroli's there. Ball back in, appeals for a handball. And the flag is up for offside. The crowd thought for a moment that there might be something else in there.
Well, offside, but it's... You spoke on behalf of Aussie football fans enjoying the renaissance of Bruno Fornaroli. I'm just happy to see after that challenge by Joel King that he's able and willing to throw himself around like that, because that challenge took me back to a career-defining moment for Bruno in the Australia Cup when he got tackled from behind against Hakoah Sydney City East, playing for Melbourne City. It took him out of the game for a while, and it's taken him pretty much till now to get back into the pre-injury Fornaroli form. That's my take on it. And that challenge just in front of us here on the near touchline had me wincing in my seat and hoping that we weren't seeing a repeat of history.
Good switch of play for Lolly. Look at Adama Traore, has to be careful. He's checked and turned himself into a tight spot there. Somehow emerges. But his clearance only finds Bratton. Lacerda straight back towards Girdwood Reich. Mashash, great turn. Trouble here. Fornaroli. Does he have the legs to get all the way? Grant coming. They've got numbers back now. Bruno still going. Save the follow-up for Brimmer. And he couldn't control it. So close to 3-0 before half-time.
Brilliant, breathtaking football. Mashash was a magician on halfway. Talk about using your body and then the presence of mind to release. Bruno, will you question if he had the legs? He didn't need legs, he just needed an angle. He got the angle, but he couldn't beat Pavlicic. Excellent work. Look at the diligence of the young goalkeeper here, holding his feet and his nerve. Great football.
Well, he did have a couple of other options perhaps by the end, Bruno, but when you're a goal scorer in this kind of form, you're always going to try and score yourself. 4 minutes of stoppage time. We've barely seen them expire. Still 90 seconds left. And Sydney could have been back in the contest just as Melbourne Victory could have driven this one over the horizon and away. Caceres, little 1-2, nicely done. Caceres still. Lolly, saved by Izzo. And back in again. Oh, and just wide. Girdwood Reich close for a second time this evening.
Well, great hit back from Sydney. Just exquisite from Caceres to get through there. And Lolly finding the palms of Izzo, who then crumples to the ground again gratefully as the ball goes wide from Girdwood Reich.
Well, there was time for one more chance. King. A fantastic leap on him. He's won a couple of headers in the air, as well as delivering that cross for Girdwood Reich while it was still 0-0. There's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, and it's still just half-time in a couple of seconds. Arzani fouls Bratton. Sydney will have it all to do in the second half, but without things going their way, they've shown that they are capable of causing this Victory side problems. Brimmer, big switch for Falami, who just hesitated a moment, but he's got it now. Running at Grant, Mashash in the middle, Falami still beyond everything. It's a third opportunity for Ben Falami to mark his first start of the season with a goal as well. And crazy to think that this game is so wide open.
Oh, amazing. And no shortage of chances for Ben Falami in this first half. Well, great stuff, particularly Victory, but Sydney contributing. Excellent first half of A-League football.
Brilliant stuff. Arzani's first goal for Melbourne Victory, followed up by Mashasha's second of the season, both of them against Sydney FC. Girdwood Reich had chances. Fabio Lolly denied by VAR on 2 occasions. It has been a big blue that has lived up to the occasion, and there's still 45 minutes to come. Half-time at Amy Park. Melbourne Victory 2, Sydney FC 0.
This year's Alex Tobin Medal is brought to you by Isuzu Ute, awarded to the best player of the season as nominated by the Paramount ANZ football team. The winner of the prestigious award will receive $10,000. Plus, the Isuzu Ute Alex Tobin medalist will nominate a junior football club of choice to win a brand new, top-of-the-range Isuzu D-Max or 7-seat MUX to be announced during the grand final. To stay in touch with the leaderboard, tune in for weekly updates at your home of football.
AAMI Park, looking $1 million this Saturday night. Early summer in Melbourne, and really perfect conditions for football in the low 20s. The setting for the Big Blue, and for the moment it's been Victory's shade of blue. Arzani and Mashash, the two goal scorers there. Tony Popovic, whose side have brought the intensity that's probably been the difference, because Sydney have had their chances. There have been some real line balls in it. Interestingly, Ufuk Talay had his side back out on the pitch a good 2.5 minutes before Melbourne Victory emerged. The entire 11 out there waiting. They've been out there now for about 4.5 minutes waiting for this second half to get underway. Melbourne Victory leading the Big Blue at half-time by 2-0. No changes to either side at half-time. Sydney FC with plenty of work to do if they are to avoid a 6th defeat of the season, and a 3rd under new coach Ufuk Talay, is his 5th game in charge. Is looking like a very challenging task with 45 minutes left to play. Melbourne Victory, they are eyeing top spot on the table. Andy Harper looking to preserve their undefeated start, and it's looking pretty well preserved at the moment.
Yeah, so, you know, you've got to admire this early season start to Victory. They started playing last year with good football, couldn't get results apart from the Big Blue in round 1, and then the season just ground to a halt, disappointingly. They've managed to come out with a similar style of football, but this time with goals at the end of it and picking up points, and they're building confidence on the back of that. Sydney got a huge job to get out of this one if they can. And what they showed in the first half, speaking of resilience, was Sydney, having been on the canvas, and there's 2 goals coming in 4 minutes and plenty of other swashbuckling type attacks from Victory, they came very close themselves. They managed to rouse themselves. They resisted as much as they could, and then found some spring to open up some chances to goal. So there's hope there for Sydney, certainly.
There's certainly hope insofar as Melbourne Victory have also shown a rather upsetting for their coach and supporters habit of throwing leads away this season. They almost did it again last week, in which they were leading 2-0, they were leading 4-1 against Western Sydney. As Western Sydney came charging back, it ended up being 4-3. With Western Sydney a couple of chances that could have squared the ledger. Now, Adama Traore, he has been in and out of the referee's books already this season. He's picked up 1 red card as well already this campaign.
Well, this is definitely in the needless category. It's really silly from Adama. I mean, he's a fierce competitor, but otherwise such a mild-mannered character. I mean, a great professional, but that's unprofessional. And certainly puts himself in the spotlight. He's completely needless.
Well, he picked up a red card for 2 very close together time-wise yellow cards against MacArthur, which almost proved costly. Victory on that occasion were able to equalise late on through an own goal. But Western Sydney wasn't the only game in which they've thrown away leads. Their run of 4 consecutive draws, 3 of them, they conceded the equaliser late on. Max ball in is a good one, and it was Ryan Grant at the near post. And Robert Mack looks to the heavens, because that was another good chance.
That's a really dangerous free kick. Nicely hit by Robbie Mack. Ryan Grant getting on the end of it. Beautiful opportunity for Sydney, just couldn't quite rise to the occasion. Literally, Ryan Grant there.
Roderick Miranda was the other red card against Adelaide for Melbourne Victory this season, as De Silva goes long. Lacerda gets the better of Fornaroli. Goes down holding his ankle there. Rodwell plays the ball out. Bruno Fornaroli with a half-hearted apology. Play stopped, and now we'll get back underway. Have a look at the feet here.
Just a tangle, and the boot comes off. The referee, gentlemanly decision, decides to stop the game to allow Gabriel to get his boot back on.
It's been a pretty gentlemanly big blue so far.
I don't know if Jacob Brimmer would completely agree with that. I reckon he's been nailed a few times from him. But I think the game's been too open, and the attacks have been too direct and fast for people to actually put targets on opponents' backs and line them up, save for those 2 or 3 examples.
Well, Sydney have dominated possession. Nearly 2/3, 61% in that first half. They've had the ball. Territorially, they've been in the contest as well. They lead the corner count, for example, 5-4. Passes in opposition half. Getting close to twice as many. So those attacking statistics. And to top it off, they have had the big chances as well from set pieces, as we've seen with those headers from Rodwell and Grant. From open play, Fabio Goodwood-Reich. Oh, the slip from Rodwell. And Pavlicic does well. Too much to do, Pavlicic, apart from pick the ball out of the back of his net. Well, that's not true, actually. He had a couple of saves in that first half as well. But Victory's wayward finishing has also been a factor. Goodwood-Reich shields that well from Teague. Joel King. Goodwood-Reich again. Lacera under pressure from Teague. They force Sydney all the way back to Pavlicic again. It's a great first-time pass from the goalkeeper for Joel King. Now Robbie Mack. Great use of the body and his dribbling skills to manoeuvre that ball around in front of him and keep his body in between ball and Mashash. Goodwood-Reich. And again, Sydney able to move the ball around, but not yet in that rarefied atmosphere on the edge of the 18-yard box. Perhaps they'll get there now. It's a good ball from Goodwood-Reich. Grant for Lolly. This is nice from Sydney. The cutback. And when Robbie Mack needed a bit of quality, couldn't hit the target, but the flag was up anyway for offside.
Yeah, Lolly looked like he'd just breached that line, but it was nice patient play from Sydney, bouncing the ball before a Victory player can close them down, created that space. It was a nice pass from Goodwood-Reich to really open things up. That would have been a tight call. If this goes in again, the question marks would have been fairly and squarely in the lap of the VAR to get their lines out and right.
Back with Mashash. It's another great turn. He loves those tight little spaces. Zinedine Mashash, and he gets a warm round of applause from the crowd. Goes again, receives from Traore with Falami. Traore's continued his run. It's nice play again from Victory. And it's Sydney's turn to survive, but Teague back on the front foot. Teague's cross. Fornaroli just behind him. Connor Chapman now. Fornaroli, Azani. No way through.
Important challenge. Azani about to pull the trigger. Nice work on the left from Victory. Now Traore at the first time of asking, and then the excellent Ryan Teague. I mean, there's not been a pile of commentary about Ryan Teague's return to the A-League, but Robbie, I couldn't be more impressed. I think he's been outstanding for Victory and a key cog in why their team has been so efficient.
Here goes Brimmer. Teague, who made just the one appearance for Sydney FC against Brisbane Roar back in the 2019-20 season before heading to Portugal. Let's head down to Michael Zapponi now on the sidelines with a little half-time update for us.
Yeah, really interesting to note Tony Popovic's reaction to the Bruno Fornaroli chance just before half-time. He was absolutely fuming that Bruno didn't cut the ball back. Melbourne Victory had three options inside the 18-yard area. This is it, a reminder, this is just before half-time. You can see the three players making the run there. That makes it 3-0. Sydney FC, as we've seen in the early stages of the second half, still very much in this game for now.
For now, because Fornaroli was looking to find Mashash. Thank you, Zappers. Yes, they are still in the contest, Sydney. No Australian football fan needs reminding of how dangerous a 2-0 lead is. 3-0's a different story, Ryan Grad. And Adam Pavlicic. Now Bratton. Now by Brimmer, yellow card for Jake Brimmer. These two sides, who are the two sides that foul the most in the A-League so far this season, in the opening 7 matches. Starting to get the referee's whistle blowing on a regular basis. Teague just too long for Fornaroli. Rodwell again. I wonder if he has the 90 minutes in him. Jack Rodwell. See the yellow there, just sticking out the leg and clipping the heels. Very intentional from Jake Brimmer. Now Sydney FC are preparing their first change. As you can see, they've given the ball away to Mashash. Zinedine Mashash with Fornaroli! The flag stays down. And Bruno is at it again. His 12th of the season. And now it is 3 goals that Sydney are chasing. Zinedine Mashash, the provider. And Bruno Fornaroli with his 12th goal in 8 games this season.
Well, it's just a horrible turnover from Sydney. And on the Harvey Norman replay, from there on, it's beautiful, beautiful feed from Mashash, just to straighten the line of attack, suck the 2 central defenders in away from Bruno. Beautiful delayed play. Does magnificently, the Moroccan. And the Uruguayan does all right too, the Australian. He's one of us, always was. Bruno makes it 3 for the game for victory, and 12 for the season for El Tuna. Mashash, just beautiful, really just beautiful, and Sydney cooked, completely cooked. From the moment Girdwood Wright gave the ball away, the roast dinner was going to be served.
I mentioned that there was a little milestone, perhaps in the offing for Bruno Fornaroli, because Andy Harper, that is first division goal number 101 for Bruno Fornaroli, the same number as a certain Andy Harper got in his NSL career.
Oh my God, hasn't he joined elite company?
20th on the all-time charts. Damien Murray leading the way. Jamie McLaren second on that list with 148. He's in action tomorrow looking to bring up the 150. But yes, Bruno Fornaroli in fine company. And more than that, in fine fettle.
Yeah, well, Sydney are in all sorts of trouble. Is that to state the bleeding obvious? I mean, can't win games at home. Change of coach with Tale trying to get his feet under the table. With a team that's competitive, they've played some good stuff in recent weeks without reward. They've been outplayed here tonight, yet still had chances to stay in the game. And it's a huge effort, and they'll be counting on victory, revisiting some of their recent history and coughing up some leads to give them a breath of hope here. Otherwise, this one's done. The Big Blue after 58. Where does Sydney FC go from here? Kucharski looking for a forward run.
Girdwood Wright making way. There he is, the youngster back in midfield. this evening, but Sydney needs some more attacking impetus. That's another youngster, Jaden Kaczarski, who burst onto the scene in the NPL a couple of seasons ago. Gold medal winner, NPL New South Wales. Scored that goal in the opening match of the cup run in the 120th minute that got Sydney a penalty shootout against the Mariners. Without that goal, there'd be no cup sitting in Sydney's cabinet this season. And he got his first A-League goals as well in Ufuk Taleh's first match in charge against Adelaide, where he netted a brace. So he comes on bringing all that. As Fabio again manages to get on to the end of that, and we have seen that this evening, Andy, that Fabio is getting on the end, because last week we were bemoaning that.
Yeah, just that one slightly in behind him. Here's Terrace's view of Fornaroli's goal. Look at these feet from Mashash, really. Delay is magnificent. Look how he draws the defenders, opens the channel for Fornaroli, who'd intelligently taken up that space, and then his finishing prowess did the rest. Superb goal.
Fornaroli dispossessed that time. And Melbourne Victory back on the front foot. All the way back to Damien Da Silva. Now Lolly. Mashash does nicely with Valami. Oh, Azani was waiting to take off, and in the end he was pulled back for offside. The frustration.
Yeah, it's lazy from Azani. He's been excellent really today. He's a bit quieter in the second half. His first half output was fabulous, but he had so much time to stay on side and then get back on side. What a chance that was for victory again. Sydney out of numbers. And Azani just asleep at the wheel. And those sorts of moments are unforgivable. He needs to get back the focus from the first half, when he was one of the best on the field, including his defensive effort.
And here he is, tracking back because Chapman was sucked inside. The cutback for Mack. And if it's not Azani or Chapman, Jake Brimmer back doing the defending. Sydney have to do now is stop the rot at the other end and try and find little steps, one at a time, away back into the second half first. Pragmatic, step by step. The foul by Mashash on Caceres.
Well, he's done a good effort, made a good effort there. Mashash conceded the foul, yeah, but Caceres a little quiet tonight compared to what his very best can be. Victory can't allow him to get out of those situations where he dribbles with intent, because he starts building his game, and Sydney can start bridging this gap.
Well, he missed the Perth game. Caceres off the bench last week. Bratton's ball, back post, Lacerda attacking it. So was Ben Falami, not forgetting about his defensive duties.
Again, it's useful service into the box from Sydney, but no one actually busting a gut. Outside of Rodwell in the first half, without Rodwell, there's no one really busting the gut to make contact on the delivery.
Ball in is a good one from Mack. But again, the second ball, nobody attacking it. Caceres can't bring it under control. Azani, little ball for Brimmer. Taking on Bratton. Jake Brimmer. With the cross, Ryan Teague might get there. It's Grant away, and Azani's header. Foley back, looking to put the brakes on Lolly. Falami illegally so, but the referee allows the advantage. Chapman again doing the defensive duties. Joel King, the Socceroo who was at the World Cup 12 months ago, as the national team prepare for the Asian Cup, which kicks off the same weekend as the Unite round on the 12th, 13th, 14th of January. Kucharski does well, drives it in hard. Fabio, touch all the way across the box with Mack. Now Rodwell gliding past Teague. Fabio, he's done that very nicely. Fabio Gomez.
As well defended by Miranda. He still battles away, Fabio, without reward. Kucharski. How long ago since his double against Adelaide? It's a rhetorical question because I can count how many weeks, but it just seems like ages ago. Sydney, their first hit out under Ufuk Talay, and they just blitzed Adelaide at Hindmarsh. It's been a little difficult for them since.
It was Kucharski's first ever start. And that double as Falami is going to get a yellow card for not allowing that free kick to be taken quickly. Three second half yellow cards for Melbourne victory. Go with Joel King in the first. Caceres. Lolly again. Max run. Lolly just maybe saw it a moment too late. Now Bratton, that's a good ball in behind for King. Perfectly read by Connor Chapman. He read Joel King's intentions like a book.
And offside to start with. Sydney, the architects of their own downfall in attack.
Two more changes coming for Sydney FC. Pat Wood, who was sacrificed after 15 minutes last week when Andrew Redmayne was sent off, to allow the introduction of Pavlicic, the reserve keeper, and also Jordan Courtney Perkins, the fullback, arrived after returning to Australia with Brisbane last season. Izzo's clearance heads to the stands. Back with Caceres again. Grant's cross towards Mack, only as far as Miranda. Here's Kucharski. His cross, oh, he almost chipped Izzo. I'm not sure intentionally, but he has made an impact since coming on.
Yeah, well, they need a break, Sydney. This could have been it. He was looking to put the ball on for the Sydney support play. It turns into a really teasing little effort. Izzo adjusting well.
Lolly, deep ball, back post towards Rodwell, wins it. De Silva straight back out. Kucharski now. Grant looked offside as he nods it towards Laceta. They're queuing up, and it's another fantastic save, but it wouldn't have counted. Ryan Grant looked a couple of metres offside that time.
There's a couple of things. Of course, if it goes in, then VAR gets involved, so you never know. But it was the lead-up that was interesting. As Sydney make changes, so too to victory. Ryan looks clearly offside there. But even then, Sydney struggling to barrel the ball. There's three Sydney players there. One victory player and Paul Izzo. And they can't find anyone to just thump the ball home.
So Wood and Courtney Perkins on for Rodwell and Fabio. Chris Economides replaced Ben Falami, and Jason Guerrier comes on for the impressive Connor Chapman in this new right-back role. He is versatile, Connor Chapman. Jack Rodwell ruining a couple of the missed chances there, perhaps. So for the second week in a row, Jason Guerrier replaces Connor Chapman. And it's Courtney Perkins who's moved into the centre of defence. Now, he did play as part of a three-man defence at Brisbane last season. Joel King is still the nominal left-back in possession of the ball here. Robbie Mack, it's a good run. The little cutback was clever as well. He knew exactly where Kucharski was. The youngster just couldn't quite attack it enough. You can see there the ball has been all Sydney's, but that just doesn't worry Tony Popovich's Melbourne victory. Lacerda, ball again looking for Grant. Traore in the end got his head on that. And the ball is Izzo's once again. Melbourne victory, looking for their first clean sheet since the opening day of the season against Sydney FC. Fornaroli loses out to Courtney Perkins. He finds Bratton. He's continued his scoring ways this evening, Bruno Fornaroli. He feels there was a free kick in there as well. He's letting the referee's assistant know all about it. Economides, he's fouled by Grant, and the yellow cards are starting to flow now.
Yeah, nice first touch of the game for Chris Economides. Less than pleasant second touch.
Teague towards Arzani, one in the air by Lacerda. Economides again. Mashash dispossessed this time. Bratton invites Joel King forward. Kucharski. I think he may have been just caught in two minds. He saw Robbie Mack there, but he was caught on his heels. Bratton again, who's coming deep, looking for the ball. With Caceres pushing their fullbacks high, the wingers coming inside, Lolly and Mack trying to create overloads, but Victory are repelling everything so far. Bratton now, little slip by Arzani, might open up some space. It's driven in towards Kucharski. Very well defended by the captain for Victory, Rod Miranda.
Yeah, it is. And Sydney just edging into the game. I mean, they're finding it difficult to turn Victory around, and defensive Sydney, I guess, Victory are defending in a deeper block.
As the corner is taken quickly, Mashash concedes another.
And I thought
De Silva, rather.
Maybe Paul Izzo might have claimed that, because there was no Sydney put in Kui, which is part of their problem. Delivering into the penalty area is rarely finding a sky blue, or there's rarely a sky blue looking to find the ball.
Good ball in from Lolly. Again, it's Roderick Miranda. Wood. The cross in is a good one. Oh, Lacerda tried to go with the foot instead of throwing the head at it, which might have been an option as we approach the last 15 minutes, and Sydney's bench is trying to provide a few solutions.
Yeah, I think he's got to go for the head too there, Robbie. I agree with your instinct.
Mack turning away from trouble in the form of Brimmer. He and Teague have worked those double sixes in the centre of midfield very well for victory as well. All the possession for Sydney in the second half. Caceres, Kucharski trying to get the better of Brimmer. Oh. Forces Caceres wide, gets it back again. It's difficult, it's forced. Now victory, who have been happy to defend their lead and hit on the counter-attack to great effect for the third goal. Do so again. Hopper trying to get a message to Chris Economides there, I think. Courtney Perkins again, Sydney. Play it out wide.
Well, there are chances here for Sydney. Firstly, there's still time, but secondly, the zip's gone out of victory. And they're comfortable at the moment defending in proximity to each other and keeping the block tight and compact. They're getting into a bit of a comfort zone. But can Sydney turn the dial on it? Not a lot of evidence so far. Meandering attack from Sydney. And they've got to go through the gears here.
It just came off Traore, so it's a Sydney throw. Bratton back with Lolly. Courtney Perkins now, he lines it up and hits it. That would may have just been in an offside position. We just saw the second half XG stats overall. It's still, well, that's why Sydney are dominating the second half XG. 8 shots to 1, but as is Bruno Fornaroli's want this season, he only needs one effort to find the back of the net. That record of shots on target to goals is frightening from Bruno Fornaroli. And the overall XG is still in Melbourne victory's favour, courtesy of that first half, where they led by 2-0. Lolly's turn to slip as Guerrier pounces on the ball. Mashash, they're on the break again here. Oh, but again, just getting their wires crossed. Azani not going with them.
So defended as they needed to, waited for Sydney to cough it up, which was almost a matter of course. But then they lacked that sharpness in the counter-attack compared to the first half, when they created many more chances from those sorts of scenarios. And this is what's keeping the door ajar for Sydney.
They're going to set up a grandstand finish. It has to happen now. Sydney FC, Tony Popovic, almost like he senses it. And he's up on the edge of his technical area. He's trying to get that intensity to lift again from his team. Wood, they've drawn to Silva out wide. Wood still. Now Caceres. That's it. He's taken a big deflection. Will be another corner.
Well, they're going to have to make something from one of these corners because they're finding it really difficult to make the space or get the inspiration in general possession to penetrate this victory defence. But a corner could provide an icebreaker for Sydney.
Again, it's deep. Rodwell's gone. This time it's Wood and Lacerda at the back post, but the move is essentially the same.
And it's a victory player who gets to it first again.
Possession continues to be Sydney's in this second half. Victory playing a little bit with fire. Again, the ball across. Now Kucharski, and that was another opportunity And if Sydney never find a way back into this game, as the seconds tick by, they will only have themselves to blame.
Well, it's a good raid down the left. Economides was unsure of himself, which presented the chance for Sydney, and Jaden Kucharski, who can't capitalise.
Another change coming to Tony Popovic. In fact, it's going to be a double change. Fabian Monge is coming on. Oh, there's a hand there by Kucharski, I think, to control the ball. The referee perhaps didn't spot it. De Silva, very coolly done with Traore. The second change, it's going to be Eli Adams, former Brisbane Roar player, who's going to come on. That's a defensive midfielder and a winger to come into the game. Kucharski again. The run from Pat Wood was a good one, but the ball never came.
The Morse code broke down completely then. Victory with another chance just before then to break through the centre midfield, but didn't have it in them. Could have put this game to bed, really, Victory. As it is, it's tough enough for Sydney, but it could completely be out of reach.
Guerrier did well. Traore kept it going towards Economides.
Whilst ever that's the case, you know, Sydney, a goal, can't wait too much longer. Get a goal, and as we saw last week with Victory defending a 3-goal lead against the Wanderers, albeit more energetic by comparison, Western Sydney Wanderers, and playing at home. But still, there was a 3-goal deficit that was nearly overcome, and late in the game. One can change everything. Can Sydney find that one?
Blocked again. And now the substitutions. Jake Brimmer is going to be replaced by Fabian Monge and Daniel Arzani. It looks like as well, Adam Kersey managed to intercept Daniel Arzani and send him off on the other side of the pitch. He tried to do so with Jake Brimmer, but conceded defeat there. Brimmer will make his way across the entire pitch as we see Daniel Arzani's first Melbourne Victory goal. It laid the foundations. Another excellent first half from Daniel Arzani, and once he starts adding second halves, then perhaps he'll be back in the discussion. A month out has probably come too soon again for the Asian Cup, but a player that has the talent, no doubt. Once he can put that game together for the 90 minutes, that discussion will be on again. Martin's pass, just can't find Ryan Grant, but things just aren't clicking into place for Sydney FC. First place, says Daniel Arzani to the south end. They know exactly what it means. Mashash, he gets there again, pokes it through. Economides, the break is on. Adams at the back post. Plenty of victory forward. Economides, can he find a teammate? The cross in, cleared away by Courtney Perkins. Again, Teague is there to tidy up. Again, his energy and legs in that central midfield could be precious for these final 10 minutes or so. Traore long, Mashash offside. Arzani finally makes his way back to the bench. look who's there. And listen to the roar. Nick D'Agostino plays his football now for Viking in Norway, but great to see him back. The hero of a big blue or two last season and the season before. Here's Caceres. Turns inside, crosses. Too close again to Izzo.
Yeah, Sydney, with all the possession, they look like they don't believe they're going to score. And maybe that's what a 3-goal deficit can do to your confidence, but they've had a mountain of possession and been able to get the ball into situations which should have caused more trouble. Didn't really look like they had the belief. Attack after attack, possession after possession has come to nothing. And Victory, who've been great generally this season and very good in the first half, haven't had the zip, and probably will say we didn't need to have the zip. We did what we had to do in this second half.
Melbourne Victory are the top scorers in the league as of this evening. They have overtaken free scoring, free conceding Adelaide United. Here's Wood, intercepted by Monge. Towards Mashash, outcrowded. Kucharski couldn't find Wood. Free kick. Goes Bruno's way. And for the 6th game, when conceding first, for the 6th defeat in 8 matches this season, Sydney FC have so far at least failed to score. And that is part of that problem you're talking about, Andy. When they fall behind, they have been unable to score. Zach de Jesus comes on. And so does Nathan Amanatides for his first taste of A-League football. The Australian Joey, under 17, very highly rated youngster. Sydney FC won the race for his signature. Here's his first touch in A-League football for De Jesus. Back again. Matt can't get it back. Mashash does. Economides, clever little touch. Now taking on Lacerda for pace. Oh, and the ball has only just gone out of play.
It had to be a free kick for Economides, really. Sure. Sydney get a free kick. I mean, that just comes at the end, but De Jesus clearly pulled his shirt back. Here's another chance for Victory if they've got the taste for it on the turnover.
Priore does nicely. Teague trying to find an option. It bounces off Kucharski. Jesus, who's at right back, as we see the Paramount Plus player index. Fornaroli, an outstanding leader. Arzani and Mashash, the 3 goal scorers. Joe Lolly has again been lively for Sydney, and Izzo with that clean sheet and a number of good saves as well, rounding out the top 5. Jesus, Caceres, the ball in, the header off the post from Kucharski. And when it isn't your day, it's just not your day. Sydney FC could also read it that way, as we're about to have the final substitution and another yellow card. Is that Mashash This time?
Bruno. It's a good ball in, but it's taken almost until normal time's expired for Sydney to get on the end of one of those balls into the penalty area with meaning. Foul on Courtney Perkins. Bruno attracted the yellow card.
Ryan Teague is making way, and listen to the ovation here, because coming on is Lee Broxham. First, the applause for Ryan Teague, the former Sydney FC man, as he comes off. But now for appearance number 382, Lee Broxham comes on. His last goal came in the grand final against Sydney back in 2015. It is his 49th Big Blue. 49 of 63 is not a bad return.
League legend, certainly club legend, league legend.
Back shot blocked by Broxham. Mashash. Good quick feed again. Bruno got front position on the youngster De Jesus and gives away the free kick. Bruno just looks longingly towards the bench. Am I done, coach? Well, I'm afraid we just made that 5th substitution, Bruno. Look at this. Goals per game. For Melbourne Victory. It is an outstanding record. The record full stop is pretty good, and he got his 9th goal against Sydney FC this evening. Hasn't always been a happy hunting ground for Bruno. Bratton able to turn away with Caceres. Amanatides. He's quick and he's confident on the ball. King with Caceres. Jesus wants it on this far side. Rides the challenge of Economides, but then just balks Robbie Mack out of it. Popovic still, he wants that clean sheet. Just a 2nd of the season for Melbourne Victory, who may be the best attack in the land as of this evening. But they've also conceded 11 goals in the last 6 matches. That's nearly 2 a game. They have bookended their campaign so far, 8 matches in, with 2 very good Big Blue victories. Perhaps Bruno doing his chances of that Asian Cup no more harm again with that 3rd goal of the evening. Don't forget, the Unite round will be played in Sydney that 2nd weekend of January. 12 matches, A-League men's and women's, across 3 stadiums and 3 days. Broxham, no foul. Wood flicking it in. You can get your tickets and all the deals, and there's going to be a live site for the Socceroos as well as Pat Wood, blocked by Broxham. The live site from the A-League straight into the Socceroos in that 2nd week of January, so check it all out on aleagues.com.au. Is there to be some final joy for Sydney? Broxham again. 382 A-League appearances, all for Melbourne Victory. The first appearance of the season for him, and it's victory in the big blue for Lee Broxham. The first victory at home in the big blue in 4 years for Melbourne Victory. One that maintains their undefeated start to the season. One that sends them provisionally top of the table ahead of MacArthur's match on Monday night. It was Daniel Arzani and Mashash that got the ball going with 2 goals in 3 first-half minutes. And of course, the inevitable Bruno Fornaroli added goal number 3 to extinguish any hopes Sydney FC may have harboured of a comeback just before the hour mark. Sydney certainly had their chances, but they lacked that cutting edge, as it's a 6th defeat of the campaign for Ufuk Talay's men. It finishes at Amy Park. Melbourne Victory 3, Sydney FC 0.
Yeah, one of the heroes for Melbourne Victory tonight, Daniel Arzani, scored his first goal for the club. He said it's about time to me a minute ago. Great performance by the side.